Podcast Championship game reaction show and early look ahead to next season episode on our Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, get up to $1,000 deposit matchup when you sign at UnderdogFantasy.com. So get on over there and sign up. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. And remember, as always, folks, too, let it ride.
This is Brian Bosworth, a.k.a. The Boz, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride, brother. Peace out. Boz out.
Is this or is this not the XFL? Yes, it is. Do I or do I not currently have a pulse? Yes, I do. Let's play football.
Welcome to the UFL Gambling Podcast, where the crossroads meet with a little bit of bullshit. And we are here, another year in the books. As me and well, I don't want to get ahead of myself. We'll talk about how great of handicappers we are. But if you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, that's fair. My name is Colby Swiggin, Database Dad, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I want this pilot. It's a matter of national security.
Woo! YouTube.com/@UFL Gambling Pod. The season's over. We're still giving you solid gold. All right. Might have been wrong on the under. I didn't know there was a goddamn arena football game going on. Disgusting. I am joined by my co-host. He is also the host of the Bottom Line Bombs podcast. Check it out because they're always detonating winners over there. Give it up for Scumbagger Vance, a.k.a. the Bet Detective, CJ Sullivan. How are you, buddy?
Good, Colby. There we are to put a bow on this season. This seems like the happiest you've been, I think, now that the season's over on this show. I think you're going positive. Maybe you just got that
So
fight
good.
in you for those Ball State pussies balling you up around a bit. But anyway, it's great to be here, wrapping up the show. What a championship game. Futures cashed. My DC Defenders, who had a chip on the shoulder all year, I tried to tell you.
The bellboy.
Destroyed. They did. But the bellman, the doorman, the valet Parker. Everyone had the chips on their shoulder on this game, including Tamu. And
That's why I wanted the rematch with Birmingham. After Skip Holtz held him his keys and said, "Hey, Pinhead, can you juice up the tires?"
They could have combined teams. DC would have rolled them.
DC was. That game was just easy. Had it on. I didn't even put it on the main. But look, someone's got a DC Defender hat going on, or either that, or it's DC Skate Company. I can't tell. Give it up for the host of the Old Fashioned Football Podcast, Justin Mark, aka No Turn JMark, and I think he's healthy. He ate his vegetables, Bet Detective.
He's back on. He's well nourished.
Yeah, feeling much better. Got the energy levels back. I know we'll get into it, and I'll talk about this, but the moment that Jordan Tamu was not the MVP, I tweeted out, now I'm worried about a fuck you game. Yeah. And that's exactly what it was. It was a fuck you game from Jordan Tamu.
We cashed on that. Did you guys get DMs? I got a lot of thank you DMs on the 3 touchdowns plus 300 yards that we cashed on. Plus, was that plus 1,600?
That was amazing. Mm-hmm. It was an Akeem Olajuwon, David Robinson situation when they gave the Admiral the MVP right in front of him, and the Dream was furious, and then he absolutely destroyed him in the playoff series.
With his rolled up socks. Remember that? David Robinson was rolled out his socks.
You
can't give an MVP to something like that.
I got the hat as an apology to DC for doubting them, by the way. So DC, I am sorry. Jordan Tamu proved me wrong. I got a rep.
I was going to say the hat's a nice gesture, but maybe a Tamu jersey might be in effect.
Or an apology letter.
Absolutely smeared his name across.
Look, you can find his name in the phone book. If you could just send him an apology letter on like a loose leaf piece of paper,
publicly listed,
handwritten, that'd be nice. Guys, I mean, Well, first, let me just say that you are listening to the UFL Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, and the college football team previews are back on. The college football experience. Check out the podcast. Pick Dundee, Moneyline Mac preview every single FBS college football team, and you don't want to miss it because we're at war with Muncie, Indiana, and Ball State, baby.
Yeah.
So check it out and let it ride.
You go alphabetically, right on the Baylor, is it then after those?
No. I put it in a randomizer. I put them in
okay.
a randomizer, so that's why we're talking Ball State this early. Normally, we try to push that thing off till 48 hours before kick. But no. And who knew Ball State in June? God damn, got these fans all riled up.
You don't come with the fighting Whitlocks like that. You better come hard.
The game, though, guys.
Yeah. Well,
Me and Bet Detective, we're all over these DC defenders. You got YouTube.com. You can check out the slide there. You know, I can understand the criticism that we've shit on offenses in this league a lot this year. I feel like not only us, just pretty much everybody that covers the UFL has. So you finally had this ridiculous game, and I do mean ridiculous. I think I texted you guys after didn't DC have like a they had like a 60-yard touchdown called back for a legal man downfield, and the very next play it was that bad where it was like, okay, the very next play, 50-yard touchdown or whatever it was, right? Like 58-34. I got the scores backwards, by the way. That's the defenders that won 58-34.
Sure was.
I that's just too much scoring for me personally, but I don't want to sound like a jackass because there were certain games where you said these offenses are so behind. And look, that was a great offensive output by both, but defense was fucking horrible.
It was. You were slightly off on the under, as you said.
Slightly off there.
Yeah. I was definitely on the over. But DC's, like we said, Michigan secondary is banged up. They were. And JMark put it right out there. The story was coming into it, announcing the MVP to Perkins, which is absolutely crazy. To give offensive player of the year, fine, but then to not reward Tamu at all, for starting every game and putting up the best numbers in the league, it was insane. So he gave me that extra motivation. And DC, come playoff time, I was just going over these stats. They scored on 17 of their 21 possessions in the postseason, averaging 47 a game, winning by 21 a game. Obviously, it was versus Battlehawks in Michigan, but like
I was about to say, they when you cook the books, they're playing the Battlehawks, a team that didn't deserve the playoffs in the first round.
Well, Michigan certainly did, and they absolutely torched them up and scored on their first 10 possessions of this game, which is absolutely crazy.
Dude, honestly, I had it on here, and I'm just like, I almost thought it was like, are they fucking with us? Because like, how could you give up back-to-back 70-yard touchdowns or whatever that was? It was just like, you got a penalty for the legal man downfield, which he was downfield, but
yeah.
I can't believe, but here's the thing. I go back to what I said. I've been fading Mike Nolan since the 90s. All right. So great spot. Mike, you know what Mike Nolan's forte is, guys, right? You know what his MO is over the history of his career?
Yeah.
Defense.
I know, right? That's what he's known for. The Niners was a defense. He had a couple Mike Nolan moments too in this game where, not that it would have mattered. I mean, DC was absolutely rolling no matter what, but he punted at one point at midfield when they were down like 30 or whatever. And then when they were doing that insane comeback and whatever, trying to make it interesting with the UFL rules, get those onside kicks, he went for 2 to make it 19 instead of 18, which still keeps it a 3-score game. Even the announcer's like, what is he doing? Does he not know the rules that you can get the 3-point conversion?
The punt was so golden.
Yeah,
the punt was so
incredible.
fucking golden, dude.
I don't think he does know the rules, because at one point he said, wait, so if we make the field goal, we can do the 4th and 12 again, right?
And
it's
I
like,
knew it.
Yes. What are you talking about?
And I knew that was going to happen because DC called a timeout. I'm like, don't give Nolan time for someone to tell him what the rules are, because he was about to go for it. And he realized someone's like, no, kick a field goal here, coach.
He's been the coach in the league multiple years. It's like, how are you fucking this up? What was the other thing? I thought they man, I'm trying to remember. They were pumping some. I made a mental note, but I guess I didn't because I can't remember. But it was funny. They were pumping something that I'd completely laughed at, but I don't know. Maybe it was the scoring or something. This league's got it all when you look at the scoring or some shit like that. I don't remember. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you look into the stats. How about Jordan Talmo? 21 of 28. 390 yards, 13.9 yards of completion, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. No one's ever been that good. No, in these spring leagues, no one has ever put up numbers like that. No one.
It's been their offense all year, like that vertical off, and it was crazy. Just like, and especially when Michigan got that touchdown right before half, like, oh, that could swing things a little bit. They got a long play there by Malik Turner, and then 50 seconds ago, it was like they're running the same routine offense right down the sideline, touchdown. Like, how's Michigan? I don't understand how neither one were playing prevent, but yeah, they just never blinked. Like every time they had the ball, they just ran their offense. They've been running all year, that vertical passing, and with that secondary, which is banged up, I mean, it was just too easy. It was like Swiss cheese going through that.
Yeah, they cooked the books also with the 13,000 there. I was all over that one though. All over that handicap ahead of time. That 13,000. I mean, come on. How much did that look like there?
Crowd looked a little light. Plenty of room for the Tamu family to stretch out though and get interviewed for half an hour there. That was fun. They talked about all the things they did in St. Louis. Oh, we visited the Arch. We went to the museum. Okay, can we get back to someone else? We get it. They're supporting them. But it was crazy. We were saying also in this game. I'll let JMark bring his analysis in there. And shout out to JMark for hedging his future exacta ticket. I, of course, didn't do any hedging because I only had a mere plus 450 on DC. But I was surprised how Michigan really couldn't run the ball other than that opening drive when they broke off that 40-yard touchdown. But because that was how they were going to win, I thought. Because Perkins, I don't know if he was 100% with that ankle, to be honest with you. But a lot of his touchdowns were, not that Perkins didn't play bad, but a lot of his touchdowns were broken plays, and he'd flip it 5 yards, and next thing Malik Turner's running 80 yards left and right all over the field, And some of his drop-back passes weren't exactly crisp. But he played great, too. But Tamu was the story. I mean, he was the MVP. Obviously, he was trying to show that he was the MVP, and he was. He was obviously the best player on the field. Yeah. No, I mean, look, me and you being the sharps that we were all over DC. I mean, but
yeah. Before you joined, CJ and I were here, talking a little bit, and I said, hindsight, obviously 2020, but looking back at it, I should have thought this is the UFL. There are defensive scores or big turnovers that can put a little gap in the score, right? And if you look at these teams, which team could come back from being 2 scores down, 3 scores down, whatever? It was never Michigan. It would always be DC is the team that's built to come from behind. So that should have been the pick because of that. So live and learn by JMark. I did nail the over, even though I know you said there was no way that was hitting, but did nail the over at least. Yeah. So I went 1-1.
Over was done by halftime, by the way. Total that went up to 52, and it was cleared by halftime. And then DC, like you said, covered them by themselves, which is insane. How crazy is it? Speaking of defensive touchdowns, that did not hit the plus 200 defensive touchdown.
I thought that pick was going to be it.
Right, and you got this Super Bowl score of 58-34. How
they had
over a defensive touchdown in there?
They had over 1,000 yards of offense.
Amazing.
It's too much scoring for me. And I'll say this in college football,
it got out of hand.
The old Big 12 in 2010.
Right.
You watch a 58-48 game, and I'm like, this is disgusting. Yeah. Right? This is disgusting.
They actually broke a record for points scored in that dome, previously held by the Rams with 52 points. Now it's held by the DC Defenders with 58.
Yes. It's going to be a great stat in 10 years when this league doesn't exist.
Put that banner up in that dome. That'd be incredible.
Well, look, let's talk a little bit more about the league and there's some futures for next year. But before I do that, I want to let you know that the UFL Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Circa and the Ultimate Fantasy Football Giveaway. Yeah, Circa Resort and Casino in downtown Las Vegas is giving away the ultimate fantasy football experience for a 12-person league to draft in Vegas and be treated like VIPs for the entire stay. You're going to get a limo ride from the airport, a $5,000 tab for and you could draft from Stadium Swim, but $5,000 food and beverage tab, Stadium Swim. and a hotel stay for you and your 11 league mates. Enter the Ultimate Fantasy Football Contest for free at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/circa. That's CIRCA. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/circa. And remember, even if you're not a part of this, you can always get 15% off at any of the Circa properties with the promo code SGP15. So do that and let it ride. We're also brought to you by mybookie.ag. MyBookie is your place to bet on every sport: college football win total, Stanley Cup, college baseball World Series, NBA Finals, all going on. And MyBookie accepts customers from a ton of different locations, even outside of the States. You can easily deposit, get lightning fast payouts using crypto. So head on over to mybookie.ag. But when you do, use our promo code TCESGPN for 100% deposit match up to $1,000. Terms and conditions apply, of course. That's mybookie.ag. Promo code TCESGPN. Shout out to the chat. Come be a part of the chat. Jordan there. Hell of a season, fellas. Appreciate you. Channing Brown. Creepology in there. St. Stephen's Productions. Let's go. So, I mean, the league comes to an end. I wonder, we thought the showboats were going to be gone. Actually, you know what I'm going to start with? I'm going to start with this. What would you like to see changed before we go into potential? Because we think the showboats are now coming back allegedly. But what would you like to see change, Bet Detective, from the crossroads and the bullshit in 2026?
Things could use tightening up, that's for sure, and a little more transparency. Just the shenanigans with the stadiums, for one, is usually pops out for that. They kind of defeated themselves by making the last 3 weeks of the season meaningless because all the games were set. That didn't help. Quarterbacks, the quarterback play, it took a little while for it to get going. Once it did, it got good, I thought. The UFL's offense was rolling in the second half of the season, but there was just dumb things with the quarterback play. I mean, it should be laid out, it should be spread out. And everyone has established, number one, that they rock. They're not moving back and forth with Etling. We're not keeping McClendon in the stands for a month or whatever the hell it is. You know, I mean, they early on they were going through quarterbacks. Yeah, like they were just hired. They're going to go through a hiring.
What was that? Michigan, Houston. Yeah. What other teams were? Michigan,
Memphis,
Houston.
They're rolling out.
Yeah.
I mean,
Birmingham, even with JMark Smith, he's at Dunkin' Donuts.
Birmingham at least had injuries, but I'm like, how many did they have? How did other teams not have these? It was absolutely crazy. And then so yeah, just a little more transparency with that, and feed into stop trying to force the St. Louis on there and feed into things that are working there, like DC. Like they even mentioned it on the air during the championship game. Can you imagine if this game was played in DC? The environment that would have been, if you really wanted to get
that is a huge problem. And I heard Skip Holtz talk about this on some radio show that he would like to see them in their markets. He's like, we're selling the league short by not having them in the markets. Living there so they can be doing local radio, so they can be a part of the community. And then also you could tap into, to me, if you're building a league, you put me in charge of this thing. We're doing dollar beer nights. We're doing, we're going to have fun. We're going to go out there and try to get people to come to these things. JMark, how about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot to do with where the championship game is played that could improve this league a lot. Whether you pick Canton, a football city, or you give it to the best record team. And then, I look on Twitter and the Reddits, and the biggest thing I heard from fans is, hey, we got a game this weekend. I see no promotion. Yeah. I talked to, 10 buddies. They had no idea there was even a team. They've got to get better at promoting this league. And I'm not talking about the commercials that are before the Super Bowl and whatnot. Football's not over. I'm talking about in the actual cities, get people to the games, get them excited about it. To your point, dollar beer nights is a great way to do that because somebody may not give a shit about the team, but it's like, fuck, I'll go drink dollar beers. And then all of a sudden they're like, I got to go back. That was fun. That was electric. They have to build on that. Nobody wants to watch these games in empty stands. Right. Nobody wants to watch it because as much as I love football, when you tune in and you see it so empty, it does ruin the vibe some. It's like, wow, this sucks.
It's depressing.
Yeah, so that's to me, that's
Smaller
number
venues,
one.
smaller venues.
Yeah, like the soccer stadiums that we saw,
Right.
the Sea
College
Dragons
football, high
used.
school, dude, high school. Some of those Texas high school stadiums
Oh
are
yeah,
fucking amazing. So
But Colby, to your point, these players should be in these towns. That's also how you
Yeah.
do promotion. Get them down to the Piggly Wiggly on Fridays.
what I'm
sign
saying.
kids' jerseys and shit like that.
100%. Get the Michigan Panthers a fucking. Oh, you want to see a Panther at the zoo? Free
Right.
tickets to the zoo. You can meet some Michigan Panthers. God damn it, this isn't rocket science.
Right.
But I look. I thought, and you guys know this, coming in, I thought it was the worst spring league that I've covered, right? And a lot of it had to do with phony games, right? Like and phony outcomes and phony coaches did. And how about getting coaches that do know the rules? I don't like. I feel like more times than not when they're mic'd up, they have no idea the fucking rules. Don't mic them up then.
yeah.
Well,
It makes your product look bad.
You're asking
right?
a lot, though. If you're going to have those rules and have old knucklehead meathead football coaches
I
to
hate
know those
that-
rules. I love them mic'd up though.
Well, that's what's. Oh, you do. I hate any league that mics up like to me, in-game interview with the coach is terrible to me.
Well, I
But-
agree with that, but I do like mic'd up afterward highlights, and I don't mind the mic'd up interviews they do with like the backup quarterback who's telling you the plays and stuff. That seems pretty interesting.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean-
I do like that part of it.
And to me, guys, it's me.
And my favorite mic'd up moment of the year, besides anything by Curtis Johnson, was when they were actually interviewing Perkins on the sideline during that bullshit platoon situation. Where he was still platooning for no reason, and they're like, "What's going on here?" And he's explaining, "Well, Etling's going to," and then Etling throws an interception, and he's like, "Oh, here we go. What the hell is like? Why am I on the sideline for this?" That was an amazing timing moment.
That was, and I guess there is some humor.
Right.
I mean, having Wade Phillips be like, "What's going on?" That was last year, I think.
Yeah.
But it was like, who's this? Or Curtis Johnson?
Right, yeah,
Who put him in the game? Who put him in the game?
You-
It gives us a lot of humor. So I guess in
for
that
sure.
regard, I just feel like one of the things in general across sports, I fucking hate the in-game interview, and I just don't think you learn anything from it. And it's just, I guess in the spring league, maybe that would be the one league to do it. So maybe because you're trying to sell these players, and since they're not in their local markets, which sucks, right? You're trying to sell your stars, even though you only have your stars only playing half the game in a lot of situations. I'll admit that I could be wrong there.
The one in-game interview thing that I don't like is when they interview a guy right after he ran for 40 yards for a touchdown, and he's like, "Well, see what?" And it's like, give the dude time to breathe, wait a bit, whatever you want to do. That part annoys me with the in-game interviews, but I do like the backup quarterback explaining it, or you're with the D coordinator. Hey, we want to try to do this and give them this read because we're trying to stop this. That stuff is interesting to just get that second piece, especially if there are people out there that they don't know football very well. I mean, we all watch a lot of football, but not everybody does. And this is a niche league that you're trying to get people into. That's a good way of explaining, like, this is why we're doing what we're doing. And I think that could pull a different group of people in. My other change that I would do is move the season up earlier. I think they wait too long after the Super Bowl. I think you got to capitalize on people writing that, hey, the NFL's over, let's jump right onto another league. And plus, in the summer, a lot of people have plans. They are on vacations. I know Colby might not like that because it's right in the middle of March Madness, and maybe that's part of the reason because of that competition. But I think the closer you can get to the Super Bowl is better for trying to get the viewers in, as well as better for these players, because now they're entering camps a little bit late and they're a little bit behind the other guys that are in NFL camps.
No, I actually think I'd agree with you. I mean, yes, March Madness makes it tricky, but for me, the further the more you can get into real football months, like football should be played in, like there should be some elements, you know what I mean? So if you play in February and cut the roof off that filthy Battle Dome, and that filthy Alamo Dome, all right, where David Robinson with his rolled up socks, they're probably hanging in the rafters. That to me, I do think it works, but I would end the season. I would add on. 10 weeks isn't enough to me. I would add on to it. You know, I mean, you're paying the guys like $5,000. So what the hell's going on here, right? Stop playing the reruns of fucking MASH and paying out those bastards, and add a little bit of money to the players. We're good. But no, if you want my real opinion, the league, I would like less Blandino. Less is more with the rules. To me, less is more. I would like to see that development. And obviously integrity. Like you can't be doing that type of shit and cooking the books and stuff, like for trying to prop up your teams, to me, I think is bad for if you're trying to grow a league. And then the big one to me, guys, and I did the homework. Football is supposed to have a real kickoff.
Oh boy.
We just went through the whole season. Bet Detective, we just went through the whole season.
Yeah.
0 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's true.
Get this. 1 return over 50 yards the entire season. Huh.
Yeah, I'll say this though. I saw a kickoff I've never seen before in that championship game. That Michigan kicker, when he put the ball sideways on the tee, whatever, and he kept kicking those great knuckleballs that really
they were
awesome.
Yeah.
Like that seems like something I could see people copying off of. Like I never saw that technique. I was pretty creative, I thought.
Well, I'm not done though, because I did like that, but I compared it to the years prior. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Where in 2023 we had 5 kick returns for a touchdown. Right? 5. And actually there was 1 in the playoffs too. So 6. You had 8 returns over 50 yards or more. So 8 times the amount in 23. Last season, you only had 2 kick returns, 1 in the postseason, 1 in the regular season. 5 longer than 50 yards. And to me, that's 5 times better last year. In the USFL in 23, it was 8 times better. The kick return, and I will argue with anybody, you guys know this, is the most exciting play in football. You put your athlete back there. To kill that play is the dumbest fucking thing. It is the ultimate game changer. When a team just goes on a 10-play, or a 20-play, 10-minute drive, and then you kick deep to their guy. You've seen it so many times in the Super Bowl or the national championship. It's a game-changing moment. And to deprive people of that, it is changing football, and it's changing football for the worse. I completely think they're fucking up here, especially in a league where you're trying to grow fans, and you want more scoring and you want more excitement. Tell me I'm not wrong.
No, the kickoff return is a very exciting play, and I know it's the hill you would die on. You've been fighting this war, and it's admirable. I like that you fight this battle. And as you know, football's made the kickoff a scapegoat for injury. They want to just flat.
Such bullshit.
So
but the forward pass, forward
None
pass is innocent.
But, but so I mean, it is what it is, and they want to model itself, as an NFL, training camp, like minor league thing, so they want to keep things similar to that, and so like they're could groom players into that league. Real quick shout out to the people calling out JMark's hat switch there, the Battlehawks hat, very clean. You must have taken advantage, JMark, with all the hats of the Ben DiNucci sale that he tweeted out about the end of season sale for the UFL merchandise, and picked up some hats. Good on you for that.
I was just, I'm a Midwesterner, so it's hard to pass up a deal.
That's a good deal.
It's a thing for Midwesterners. They say, "Oh, nice hat." Well, I got it 50% off, so
I just assumed that was at a Come and Go with your taco pizza, and they
that's
probably
not Come and Go. Come on.
They probably threw in a Jake Bates bobblehead with that too, right?
Speaking of which, a lot of let's talk real quick, if you don't mind, the people signing in the NFL. So speaking of the NFL grooming, there's a couple of those Did Michigan's kicker just get signed? Did I see that with the Jets?
The Jets. The Jets signed him, right?
And I know the Falcons just signed the Browns running back Colburn.
Yep.
Even cut a guy for him. So like literally just signed him, not even a tryout. So that's pretty impressive. But a lot of the players who are getting lookouts weren't exactly your UFL stars. Do you think Tamu and Perkins, they have to get a shot at tryout?
Tamu, I don't know, because he's gotten a lot of tries.
Mm-hmm.
You would think. I mean, I never understood. I could do a 5-hour podcast on quarterback politics in the NFL.
Yeah,
I've never understood. It's like the 12th man. Remember when Herb Williams was on the Knicks for like 20 years as like a 12th man? You're like, how the fuck is there not a younger, better player? But this guy's just sitting on the roster, right? There's some politics there. He had photos of James Dolan or something jerking off in the corner, right? But
please do not publish those.
But no, I really believe that that's a legit issue because I think Jordan Teamu played his way to a tryout to me. Sure. And he might not make the team. Who knows? But a lot of it is also like fit to me. Like if a coach is willing to take a shot, we saw Chase Daniel. What did he make? Like $100 million taking like 10 snaps in the NFL. Wow. So to me, if your personality can get with the coach and maybe you can, because let's be honest, like a backup quarterback, third string quarterback, they're kind of like an assistant coach these days in football. So yeah, I think they all deserve a shot, but specifically those two, definitely. I almost think it should be like a guarantee.
That would be nice. Yeah, kind of like a reality show or something like that. You know what I mean? If you win, you at least get a fair tryout. Not a contract, but you know what I mean. Or like through training camp, you get an invite there for who wouldn't want to see just the stars of that game, Mickens and Malik Turner? You're telling me these guys can't be on at a training camp somewhere trying to get a tryout? That's crazy.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit more about the future of the league. But before we do that, I want to let you know that the UFL Gambling Podcast brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog's going long for the NBA Finals with their extender bonus. The longer the series goes, the bigger the bonuses get. So jump over there, sign up. And when you do, sign up with our promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus credits there. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Yes, you've heard me talk about Rhythm before. They just dropped a new game-changing feature called Power Trends. These are AI-detected patterns where Rhythm's model has consistently won as a high ROI. Think like a strikeout prop that wins 59% of the time when with the line and the win probability hit a certain range there. So Power Trends are updated daily and exclusive to Rhythm and Rhythm only. No touts, no noise, just clean data-backed bets, baby. Download the Rhythm app, check out Power Trends, and start betting smarter. We will be. Get your free 7-day trial period today. SportsGamblingPodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's SportsGamblingPodcast.com/rhythm. All right. We are back. And so ratings. Did you guys see that statement? I should have pulled up this article before the episode. The ratings are way down they asked, like, it wasn't the commission, it was like the PR, the head of the PR. It's not a problem. We're actually, who gives a shit about ratings? But I thought it was owned by a TV company. That's where it's like, I actually think, like, I wouldn't give a shit about ratings to a certain extent if it was owned privately. But when a TV network owns the fucking league, I find that to be quite shocking. Bet Detective, what do you make of those remarks?
Right. They're trying to take a page out of the NBA's book, they get ratings sponsored. We're like, we don't worry. We just got like $1 trillion TV deal. UFL obviously did not get that deal, so they are different in the street.
In fact, we owe the Army $11 million. Right?
They could definitely use some help in the PR department. A lot. If you look, I know my Twitter feed is with the UFL Championship game. Half of it was, oh my God, look at all these points. What a great game. The other is, look at this halftime show. What a debacle. And all these things. Even though I liked it. I thought it was kind of fire. I like how I think they should lean into the low rentness of it. You know what I mean? Like, I mean,
true.
What do you want to try to compete with, Drake and whatever, and Kendrick Lamar? It's
why
insane.
Why can't they be fun like that?
That's what I mean. They should laugh.
That's what I'm saying. They should have Naughty by Nature doing that shit. You know what I mean? Like,
and the vibe of the DC fan base, that's what it's like. The beer snake stuff like that. Lean into the low rentness and just like having a good time on the weekend, rather than trying to put on a show that matches up with the big boys. And part of it is, like we said, with the stadiums and the attendance, so it makes the ratings look worse. Now, they
have no self-awareness, in my opinion.
That's true. Yeah. I, for one, don't trust ratings, period, at all, good or bad. I think it's an insane, archaic system that they use. They still use Nielsen boxes.
Well, I don't get they rate the income, but
Bet Detective, did you know this, though, that do you have YouTube TV?
I have YouTube, sure.
I was trying to figure out my password because I was in Colombia for a month and, people were hacking into the mainframe, right. I think.
Okay.
So I was resetting my password and I had no idea that they actually report everybody that has, or at least my YouTube TV, actually connects to the Nielsen ratings.
Oh yeah, no, they have the access with all the streams. We've never been living in an era more where they know what we're watching. So,
Yeah.
but they don't want to report those numbers because it'll cost them money. So that's where they can make up these numbers. You know what I mean? Like
they're cooking the books all accounts, baby.
There's no one regulating it. You know what I mean? And they can do. That's what they do is literally with book sales and shit like that because that's how you make money.
You remember when Prince did that shit with his records, where if you went and saw him live, if you went to a Prince concert, you scanned the ticket and that was an album sales. He was genius, way ahead of his time. So then he was like killing it in the box office. You're like, wait, there's not even a music video for MTV and shit. How's he doing this? Yeah, he was cooking the books. Prince knew. He knew.
Sure.
JMark, what do you make of that Suits comments? What the fuck's his name? I don't even remember. I kind of think it was like a fake story. I never heard the guy talk. Like, is that real?
I mean, I get that. Yeah, you don't want them to go on there and shit on the league. Like, yeah, these were really disappointing numbers and shit like that. So for them to say, yeah, we're not worried about it, I get that because they're trying to save face a little bit there. But I think when you're behind closed doors in meetings, they got to be a little bit worried about that. And I absolutely agree with the point you guys made of lean into the fun, right?
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to take yourself so serious. I know you're a professional league. That doesn't mean you have to take yourself
so serious. That's their biggest
serious.
problem, dude. I actually think that's probably even bigger than cooking the books. I actually think like they keep taking themselves way too seriously.
Yeah.
And they got to get past that. And shout out to St. Stephen's Productions. I do think this is a valid point. In the chat here, he's talking. I do think that is a problem. Like, for bringing in the lay fan, those first couple weeks, the unders hit every time because there's no real preseason. Now, I love a good defensive battle, so it doesn't affect me that much.
Yeah,
but I could see. I mean, I could see people watching the championship game being like, "This is great, a lot of scoring, right?" Because most people are pussies these days. So I feel like you want to cater to the pussy, right? And
always, I always do.
Yeah, hashtag that.
No, but I actually think it would be smart to play a couple preseason games. I really do think.
I agree because especially like that first month is a little rough watching. This year especially, it took whiles for that offense to offenses all across the league to start going. Like we were looking at 17, 15 scores, 9-8s or whatever. And they could have fun with the preseason. So like they could have like a 4-team scrimmage almost since they're all in the same area. San Antonio's offense versus Memphis defense, and put the Battlehawks in, whatever. Just all the different units kind of rotating. Just get creative with it. Who cares? But the league needs to preseason games. To be honest with you, it's hard to hurt the layman's fan coming in. To change their first impression. When their first impression's a bad game, bad product, they're like, well, this league's a joke. I'm not coming back to this.
Well, and by the way, I didn't actually see the official numbers, but now I'm seeing it on Twitter. So viewership was down 38.4% compared to last season's championship game, and attendance was down 50%.
That's all bullshit.
Yeah, cook the books.
Yeah.
Well, what do you feel about expansion? Because I heard that they locked up the Oklahoma Outlaws, who used to play at H.A. Chapman Stadium there with Doug Williams and company. I heard they locked in the trademarks, but I've heard this shit before with that. Like in the USFL, they locked up the trademarks of the Washington Federals, right? The Oakland Invaders. Who knows what's going on? I know Bet Detective's on the case with Tampa Bay Bandits. You're still flying down to Tampa every other weekend, right?
I go to Tampa Bay every other weekend. Narco Valley down there. I got a few other cases I got down there, so I knock around, been asking around. They're excited. They have a office rented out, but that could be for anything. Who knows?
Do you think they will expand this year?
JMark says there is no expansion so far on the books as far as he's learned. Right.
Yeah, I from everything I'm hearing, there will not be an expansion. Sounds like that's off the books for 2026. It is standard business protocol to keep all your trademarks and everything renewed. So I think when people say, well, they just got this, I think it's just them renewing it, keeping their standard business so that they have it if they need it. They don't have to go through some corporate bullshit of buying it from somebody that decided to renew it or whatever. I think that's what you're seeing. And the spring football fans, they get pretty excited like, hey, this could be coming here. But I do think that's a little overhyped. I don't think the league is making enough money. Now, I'm not in their books. I can't see that, but I can't imagine they're making enough money to support more teams right now. Would I love for them to get to that point? And maybe do you have to
The
go
books
on
are in the
red
oven, buddy.
right? Do you have to go in the red some to try to grow your product by expanding? Yeah, maybe. I just don't know if I love the league, but I feel like it's not ran by smart business people from what we've seen so far. I mean, with the lack of promotion, the not ensuring that, hey, if there's a playoff game in this stadium, you can have it here, or at least we have a backup location. Like, there's just some business things that are off, and I don't know. It's weird for a league that is so corporate that it takes itself serious that they can't fix the business side of it too.
Like the Incarnate Word Stadium in San Antonio, you can rent for $1,100, and you couldn't play that game there if the Alamodome was booked.
You can't tell me The Rock and his ex-wife don't have a little extra cash they can.
You could do a GoFundMe with UFL fans, and I think you could get $1,100.
Touche.
I will say that's one of my favorite things, though, is when a team's like password runs out, of the trademark or something, like on Twitter or whatever, and someone else just scoops up the rights to, like, the Brahmas or the Dallas Cowboys or anything, and they have no idea who created this account. It's like some intern that was, hired who was 22, who's off into the work world somewhere, and then, like, I don't know what the password is. So that's why you have to re-up your copyrights, as you said, and all that. You get it down, but get it down before some jamoke like Dundee goes on there. It says it changes it to Crossroads and bullshit. Fuck.
You're damn right. I'm refreshing every fuck. I got a whole spreadsheet when these trademarks run out, guys. You let me know.
And Danny Garcia, Rock's ex-wife, did say we have so many of our ingredients put down and planted. It's just about letting it breathe and grow. That's her plan for the future of the UFL. Just breathe and grow. That's all we got to do.
You still got to fucking water it. Come on.
There you go.
Like, I have a big ass garden. I don't just plant stuff and let it grow. You got to put work into it. You got to pick out the weeds. You got to water it.
You got to get that oil change in the no turn.
That's right.
I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah, you got to pick out weeds. You got to water it. You got to do some maintenance, and they have not done a great job at that.
Good point.
They've been terrible, actually. The worst of any spring league, in my opinion.
I'm trying not to be as negative as you, Colby. I love the league still.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, like, they have done the worst job of maintaining integrity for a league out of any of them, and that includes even that bullshit XFL in 2001 or 2000, whatever year Vince McMahon had that shit with He Hate Me. I that's what they need to fix, and it started with UFL Jeff when we, started with that prick, but they got to, that's why I'm saying they take themselves too seriously, and that's something they really need to work on.
Colby, I'm also disappointed that when you were talking about kickoff returns and stats, that you did not point out that it's 2 weeks into the CFL and we've already had a return for a touchdown.
Yeah. Well, dude, I mean, what you guys just brushed over those numbers, but you can't tell me that that's not a fucking big difference in, like, you want to talk about the scoring woes in the beginning of the season specifically? Well, you know what fixes that is having a dynamic play. I still can't believe the NFL went to that shit, and I just think that, like, that's the most exciting play in football.
I mean, I'm kind of happy on one hand because I never have to sit through 2006 Super Bowl when Devin Hester returns the opening kickoff for a touchdown, and I go, "We're gonna win. I'm gonna watch the Bears win this." I don't have to get my hopes up again.
I really believe that with Grossman as his quarterback, If you believe that,
no, I was clamoring for Kyle Orton. Come on.
You got excited when Ted Ginn Jr. brought that thing back against Florida too.
Yeah.
And then they lost by 40. Shout out to the Canadian Football League podcast, though. You two guys are crushing on the picks. I know there's a lot of chatter here online, a lot of buzz to get me on there, a lot of demand, maybe. Obviously, I don't understand why, since you guys are hammering these winners.
Well,
I love it, and keep up the good work. Maybe I'll pop up, but I'm just saying, appreciate what you have there, fans.
Sign the dotted line, Bet Detective.
You have these two. And speaking of the UFL money, we'll talk to Sean and Kramer what they get that bucks up. Maybe pay me Canadian money. I don't care. But
4-0 ATS this weekend.
It's amazing. I told you guys. It's on Calgary. It's on the steel town of Hampton.
Oh yeah. I mean, the Hamilton one hurt. Hamilton one hurt. That one hurt because I feel like they were in position to win that thing.
They were.
If you'd listened to JMark, you wouldn't have had to go through that pain because I said Saskatchewan. I'm just saying.
I just like that blue collar crowd they have up there.
Yeah. And how about those stamps? But hold on, guys. Before we get out of here, they do have the look ahead.
Yeah, let's talk some futures
for the UFL, where crossroads meet bullshit. And I must emphasize that tagline, where crossroads meet bullshit, because there's still a chance these games don't happen. I've followed spring football so long. So this is a true gamble here.
Okay.
Championship winner right now, the DC Defenders plus 225, the Birmingham Stallions plus 400, Michigan plus 400, St. Louis plus 550, those Battle Birds, Arlington plus 750, the Roughnecks plus 1500, Showboats plus 1800, and the Brahmas plus 2200. But you heard Wade Phillips. He said next year we're winning the fucking thing.
Yes.
I guess the hard part of betting this right now, which I think we should bet this because it's just hilarious, but the coaching turnover is massive in these spring leagues. So it's like, this is truly gambling, and I'm here for it.
Well, we were saying, Colby, we were saying before the show, me and JMark were talking, the big story on, if you go to the UFL website, whatever the offseason stories, is the doorman, the reservoir. You know, he has to make a decision. He's coach of the year. He just won a championship. What a great story, you know, I'm in DC. But now he has to make a decision. Does he want to come back, run it back as the champion, best coach in the league, or be the sixth assistant down at Tennessee State?
He's a Tennessee State alum. He's a Tennessee State alum too.
But I mean, like, and we're trying to decide what is actually a better career move for him: being an assistant down there, join Barlow and those boys down at Tennessee State, or be the most, best coach in the United Football League. I can't answer that. He knows if the checks bounce or not. So
I mean, it depends what that salary is as you're at Tennessee State, but I mean, they've been playing football for like 115 years, so I there's a little bit more stability.
All right.
But you could be a legend on ABC/Fox. Be a part of cooking the books.
That's what I mean. I mean, I can't imagine that Tennessee State book's door is going to shut on him if he comes back.
Yeah,
yeah.
Especially as an alum.
Right.
He's an alum. They'll always take his phone calls.
I want to see him stay. I'd actually, and you asked before what I want more of the UFL. I want more coaches like him and less old Mike Nolans of NFL tread waters, and let's get these younger, coaches who bring something to the game, to the league.
Yeah, and Christian, shout out to Christian in the chat saying if Fred Caius leaves, DC to plus 600.
Yeah, man.
I mean, he runs a hell of an offense. So
he does.
Isn't he? I think he's part of Tennessee State's staff, though. Right? Am I crazy? I thought I read that.
I thought all the coaches were, but
right.
It's. I think they have the option, so I think it's a matter of what they want to do.
Yeah.
So where would you place your bet on right now? Because I'm betting this fucking thing right now because it's fun.
Well, I already know Colby's bet. Go ahead, CJ.
I was just gonna say, out of those numbers you threw out there, Houston at 15-1 interests me. We make fun of Curtis Johnson, but they rallied for him. But, you put McClendon in there. They're a completely different team, obviously, when McClendon got in there.
Yeah.
So they can run him back. He has a very live NFL arm. I think they wind up going 5-5, something like that. And they lost some tough, close games. Who knows what the rosters will be like? I certainly wouldn't take anything chalk to next year's UFL.
I'm going to take the Brahmas. I think the Brahmas is the play. I joked about it, but okay, look, I don't expect Skip Holtz to be back next year, right? I don't expect Bob Stoops to be back. So we know we're going to have turnover. I mean, I personally don't think those two will be back, right? So then you're searching, will Tony Meatball be back? I'm not sure. He interviewed at West Virginia this past offseason, so there's a chance he could leave too. But who will be back? Wade Phillips? Well, he could die, but either way, the odds are just so great for a team that was in the Freedom Cup a year ago.
Yeah, no, they have the thing there, but they have the A.J. Smith drought. I mean, everything about that organization is fun. I tell you what, if Tony Meatball leaves, I think the odds improve for those Battlehawks.
I mean, and I think a lot of that also has to do is Manny Wilkins back? Is he healthy? Does he even want to play? I mean,
Perkins will not be back, right?
If he gets an NFL job, no. If he doesn't get an NFL job, I think he'll be back.
Why would you not go to the CFL, though? They offer you way more money for a quarterback.
Well, again, if he has a job. I mean, the CFL quarterback depth right now seems pretty substantial. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there that have performed not getting jobs there. I think if he doesn't get picked up by one of those leagues, though, he's comes in with a little bit of unfinished business feeling. I thought for sure now that you threw out Bob Stoops, you think he'll be gone. It makes sense. But I thought for sure, I mean, what if CJ and I heard like the last 3-4 weeks, Arlington's the best team. They should be in this. So I thought for sure you're going to jump on Arlington at 7.5.
Oh, no, because Chuck Long will be the coach next year, and I'm not fucking jumping on that. All right.
Now,
I saw him at San Diego State.
Why don't you think Skip Holtz is coming back?
He interviewed for Rice last year, and I read his comments of he didn't want to leave with 3 straight. Like, my team's won 3 straight. We want to see how far we can take this.
Right.
Now that you've lost, I think there'll be opportunities for him to leave. And
he said that's as far as we go. We saw.
Well, and also just certain things throughout the season when he was mic'd up, I just felt like, I don't know, just certain things. I just felt like,
he could be for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It seemed like his heart wasn't in it as much as the previous years. I mean, he still did a good job of up coaching guys.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things I always like about his mic'd up moments, that, he explains to the guy what they did wrong and you need to do this next. Or if they get a penalty, like, hey, you got to, just the way he coaches and up coaches. I really admire that. But yeah, this year, despite him still doing that, you could tell that there was a little something off. He did not seem like he was as into it.
Same with Stoops too. But St. Steven's saying, can you actually bet these futures? Yes, the futures are out there. So jump in on the action.
We all know ESPN Bet was promoting it during the championship game. Erin Dolan with her incredible analysis, her betting analysis, saying, next year's champ DC plus 250 because you want to get down on that. Thank you. She just loves reporting. Oh, Mickens just hit his over of 19 yards. Great. What do you tell? I mean, how is this helping anyone? Thanks for telling us what just happened, and we get it. Yep, we know the over hit. We got it. We got it, Erin.
Yeah. Another hilarious element of the league that could get sharper, but it is kind of like, to your point of the interviews, it's almost like our comedic fuel. You know what I mean? Like when you get Curtis Johnson saying, "Who called that play?" What's going on? Aren't you the coach?
No, I'm not. They said 18, they said 84. No, 75. Oh, all right.
All right, guys. Well, we will most likely. There's a chance we're back next year, because if there is football,
yes,
we'll still see. I'm still thinking like a December announcement of the league, and I hope it's back next year. All right, just under better guidance. All right, better rules.
Trust the Moose.
They have at least one more year on the TV deal, right? They're at least here another year.
Yeah, I think that's what they're saying when they don't care about ratings. They say, listen, we are paid through next year. So after that,
right.
then you can ask us about it. But yeah, we're on TV next year.
Yeah. Shout out to Christian again, saying additional insight on the tickets. Defender ticket reps have been grinding for renewals. They reach out once a week. Not sure what that means. Yeah, I mean, it is interesting. It is interesting.
I know everyone's leaving.
At least they're hustling, though. Yeah, that's the first time they hustled ever.
Come on, no DC slander on this show. It's a at least for this episode. It's this championship.
Right.
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Damn champions. They destroyed everyone. I mean, that's just. I'll say that stat again. 17 scores on 21 postseason possessions is just amazing.
When you cook the books,
had the future. They had a chip on their shoulder. Tom was the MVP, best player in the league. Everything was proven.
It's easy to see a tide turn.
All right, folks.
What
a season. Give JMark a follow on Twitter at JMark Football. Also, check out the Old Fashioned Football Podcast. Also, give the Bet Detective a follow on Twitter at CJ Sullivan _. Check out his damn comedy shows. All right, get on over there. He's also on Instagram and all that stuff. But check out the Bottom Line Bombs podcast. And I think he'll be on a solid amount of college football experience episodes too. So check all that shit out. I'm on Twitter at the Colby D. And don't forget at UFL Gambling Pod on Twitter, YouTube, all that good stuff. Hit that like and subscribe button. Don't forget about the CFL Gambling Podcast, where it's the home of the Huge Tits Parlay. You got to check it out. Till next time. All right. This is the UFL Gambling Podcast. What a season. Cook the books, baby. And we out of here.
Cater to the pussy.
Run and shoot.